I get the benefit of the doubt 99.9% of the time, wherever I go, wherever I open my mouth, even when I am totally unqualified to talk about something, people are still like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. I'm at an age and a point in my life where I know exactly what I want to do. I know how to do it. And I just want to go, and I want to build a team of people who I can support and help be great. And I want to build the next generation of investors. That's why we did open applications for our operating partner roles. Like I want to build something that scales beyond me, but I'm not a dumb in different ways, but I'm not a naive 21-year-old out of college starting my first company again. And I'm just ready to build, man. I look back on that kid and I'm just like, God, so many lessons learned. And I mean, look, I look forward to 10 years from now thinking the same thing about me, present day.
I think about that a lot. It's like, well, I was such an idiot 15 years ago. There's so many things I wanted to teach that person, 15, who was like the 22-year-old Justin, right, when we first getting started, or I guess 23 years old now. 15 years ago, and that's what the point of my content, like in the YouTube videos, the podcast. It's all about like what are the things I wish that I could have communicated back then. Now I probably wouldn't have listened because I was not in a like very open frame of mind. Yeah. So what are some of those things that you would have gone back and told yourself?
God, so many fucking things. The best thing and worst thing happened to me just in the first year of founding Reddit. Because like when we got to Y-Combinator, this was really like I felt I did okay in high school. I did well enough to get an UVA. Applied early decision though, which helped. But I got accepted. It was the one school I applied to. I got accepted, thank God. So I got in and went through that and worked really hard, got good grades, double major, all that bullshit, which was a waste of my time. I really shouldn't have invested as much as I did in my grades, but I had this mindset of like, I'm going to be a lawyer and I need those grades to do well. So I wouldn't have done that. And then thankfully, I go to that Waffle House, walking out of the LSAT and quit it and said, forget it. I don't want to be a lawyer. And then I talked to my roommate, Steve, and I was like, dude, we got to start a company. You got to quit your job and come do this thing with me. And, we applied to YC, all that stuff. Okay. We show up at YC and I think that was the first time I really felt like I didn't belong somewhere. And so I would have told myself, yo,
in
dude.
those early days of YC?
Yeah.
Like when you walk into...
Yeah.
Dude, I totally agree with you. I don't know if we ever talked about that, but like I was like, I'm fucking dumb compared to you people.
Well, like I got told that. It was interesting because, right, I programmed in high school, all just self-taught, and then a little bit in college. But Paul, I think, had and I was a history and business major at the end of the day, so I was a double major in the wrong things.
He thought you were the business guy.
Yeah, but
he hated business guys.
He absolutely did. But even better than that, and I'll never forget this. This just gives you a sense of how coddled I was for the first 21 years. I still remember you remember Simon, Aaron Swartz's co-founder, the Danish guy. He was only there for that
vaguely
for that summer.
Yeah.
So. Well, anyway, I don't know why this sticks in my head, but anyway, he's Danish and he spoke some German, and I was like, oh, cool, I speak German, so we're talking to each other in German, and I think Paul had overheard us, and then later at the dinner had pulled Steve aside and was like, wow, Alexis sounds so much smarter when he's not speaking English, and then of course,
oh my God.
And then of course Steve comes over to tell me this, and I'm like, wow, like this guy, which essentially says, if I don't understand the language or the words this Alexis guy is saying, he sounds much smarter, which means I must sound really stupid when I'm speaking English, which was it was the first time I'd ever encountered that kind of hostility from someone who I respected, right? I mean, I've had snarky professors and different stuff like that, but here was someone who, was investing in our company, and I think just had a very different worldview. There were lots of things I think Paul just had never really been exposed to in life, and perspectives and different things. But I was like, man, this is interesting, because that story's still in my head for 10 years. I mean, 4 years later, I was on stage at TED. And I remember giving this talk and coming off stage and feeling so jazzed and so motivated and like, yeah, it was pretty good. And there was always some part of me to be like, who is this guy who says I can't speak English well, or I'm an idiot? And I think in hindsight, it made me so grateful for those moments, because I think I was hungry for them, because I'd never had them before. Because like I said, I'd been so coddled for the first, 21 years.
So that was a driver for you.
I mean, it was a stupid little thing, right?
Yeah.
Such a stupid throwaway thing.
Paul actually, he came around, like, right? He hired you at Y-Combinator like several years later, right?
Yes.
And he was like, I think you were actually the person who convinced him that like the non-programmer of the team often has equal value or more, right? Sometimes it's like
debatable.
Because, well, I think it's because when we came into YC in that very first batch, I remember it was so programmer focused. In fact, I was like a very terrible programmer, but I was kind of hiding behind that. I was like, and then I would just let Emmett do all the talking, because like people would be talking about, they'd bring up some programming concept, and I'd be like, well, I have no idea what that means. I like make JavaScript front ends or whatever.
But see, that still was cred though.
Yeah.
But I feel you.
Yeah, exactly. I was hiding behind that.
It was an intimidating thing. But here's the mind job though. So I carry this story around for a while, and it's. What was I going to say? And I remember having a conversation then, this is probably a few years ago, with Serena. And I'm talking about the early YC days and this experience. And I realized as I'm telling her this story, I'm like, it took me 20 years of my life, 21 years, for me to finally walk into a room and have someone be like, you don't belong here. Like, you sound dumb when you speak English. And the first time that happened to her was as like a 9 or 10-year-old dealing with some snobby white girl at a country club. And so like, when I think about these little moments that still just like, why is that thing even still lodged in there? The part I'd want to go back to imbue myself with is like, look, yeah, take some motivation from that. But cast it off as quickly as it was cast on you, and don't carry it, because like, this is a light burden to carry. Like, at the end of the day, I get the benefit of the doubt 99.9% of the time, wherever I go, wherever I open my mouth, even when I am totally unqualified to talk about something, people are still like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. And I think there were all these little moments that I tweet every time that Yahoo rounding error story comes up. I love tweeting about it because it was a very motivating thing to have this guy call us a rounding error and literally did put it on the wall. But like, I think things like that I fixated on and focused on were not always the right things. And I definitely had a way warped perception of just like how intense they were.